Hello everybody and welcome to the True Love Talk channel. As you know, here we want to learn about human sexuality, love, life, family, and all of this from the point of view of the Catholic Church, especially the teachings that Pope John Paul II left in the Theology of the Body. And, well, basically all of his writings. But because this is the series on the Theology of the Body, we're going to focus on these writings. As you know, I am Elisa, and this is our fourth video on this series. And today we're going to talk about the castration complex. And well, let's begin. Okay, so from previous videos, it's very important to remember that first of all, the human being has three basic elements, right? The body, the soul, and the spirit, and that the spirit is what makes us people, because the spirit's main characteristics are intelligence and free will. And those two together are going to make us able to develop self-consciousness, right? A sense of identity, a possibility of giving our life meaning, of understanding the sense of things, what sense or what meaning do things have, and also to think about ourselves in time, which means understanding that we are the same that we were in the past, but how are we going to be in the future, and we can plan for our future and so on. So this is what essentially makes us people, and the easiest way to understand this is with the word person itself. The word person comes from the Latin personatum, which is character, as the character in a play or a book, a film, however you want to see it. And the important thing is that the life of a character makes sense because of its relationship with others, right? Who they are and why they are there depends on how they relate to others. And this is something that happens to us humans, right? It's in the relationship with others that we understand ourselves. Because when we are in front of another person, that person is going to ask something from us, right? Whether it's time, friendship, help, work, acceptance, something. They always ask us for something. And that means that to answer, right, to that, we have to look inside and try and discover who are we and what do we have to give to that other person. Humanity is also discovered in the relationship with the other person, because the other person is going to recognize us when we relate with them, right? And that way they're showing us things about ourselves that we hadn't noticed, that we didn't know, right? And that lets us build our own identity. But in a third way, our identity depends on the relationship of others, because when we're in front of others, we recognize them and we realize that they have a very different and specific way of being human. And we realize that we are not that way, although we are both human, right? And that lets us know who we are, right? What humanity is all about. It lets us know our limits and so on. Another concept that is very important from previous videos is the idea of sexuality that we talked about in the second video, Created for Love, right? And I told you that sexuality is like this common thread that unifies the body, the soul, and the spirit in one goal, right? And that goal is love. Right? Sexuality is our ability to create meaningful relationships of love with others. This is what is going to allow us to relate to the other person, and by relating to others, to build ourselves, to build and understand our identity, to know who we are, to give our life meaning, and so on. However, as we said in the last video, right? Modern age is very weird, because in modernity, human beings stopped understanding themselves as people, and they would rather be individuals. Now, an individual is a specimen of a species. So let's say you have one penguin. That one penguin is an individual of the species of penguins. And of course, we are all individuals of the species of human beings. But here modernity goes a bit further, because being an individual is not just being one of the species. It's also trying to be packed in an individual package where no one else bothers me, because, as we said, the three main values in the modern era are freedom, independence, and autonomy, right? So independence means, yeah, I am not finite, right? I can do it all. Nobody needs to help me because I can take care of myself and so on. And on the last video, I told you what that never happens, right? Never, ever happens. But it also means being autonomous means things happen through my rules, right? I have my own set of values and rules that I don't share with anybody else, and I don't need to share with anybody else, which is pretty absurd, because if we're going to relate with one another, we need to be able to to create common rules. Here, the idea is that I don't care what anybody else does. Nobody has to care about what I do, and we all do whatever we want, basically. And that is what creates the castration complex, in the sense that castration takes away our sexual capacity, right? And this is what happens when we apply these modern values and we become these modern individuals. We become incapable of loving, because these values of independence, autonomy, and freedom have two logics behind them. First of all is the logic of the beauty pageant, right? So think about beauty pageants like Miss Universe or anywhere. Basically, in Miss Universe, we have a good number of women, all of them beautiful, actually so beautiful that the people from their area, right, from their countries or wherever, they're saying, come on, yeah, this woman represents the beauty of all our women. So yeah, these women are very, very pretty. And there are a lot of them, like hundreds. And yet the idea of the beauty pageant is that, yeah, no, ladies, you're not all beautiful. Only one of you is truly beautiful. Only one of you deserves to have the crown as the beautiful woman. The rest of you, not so much. And that's when the rest of women think, oh, okay, if those women are not beautiful, then who am I? How bad do I look? And that is a great example of the logic I'm talking about. We believe that if somebody else is like us, right, has the same abilities, the same characteristics, the same way of being, the same looks, right, suddenly what we have isn't worth it. So if you're in front of an intelligent person, you're not intelligent anymore, because two intelligent people cannot be together in the same place at the same time or whatever, right? There's always one that has to be more intelligent than the other. And so if anybody shares any capacity, ability, skill, feature, characteristic, however you want to see it, with us, then our abilities, our characteristics, and our features are worthless. The second logic that is behind this castration complex that modernity has created for us is Batman's logic. Is Batman's logic. So basically, let's remember who Batman is. Batman is this very, very handsome man. I mean, he could be a model, right? And he's extremely handsome. He is an athlete and a warrior. He is an expert in martial arts. He's also a genius in electronics, and he's an expert in engineering and physics and chemistry and all the sciences. And basically, he can do it all. He's so good at doing all that basically Gotham doesn't really need anyone other than Batman. You know, like, the police forces in Gotham are just there to help Batman with his paperwork. But truly, truly, they are not needed because they have Batman, right? So the problem with the idea of Batman is that it gives us two complicated situations. First of all, the idea that you have to be able to do it all. That being finite, that being an interdependent, that not being able to have it all is a bad thing that makes us worthless, to the point that if you cannot do it all, whatever you can do is not good enough, right? So yeah, I am only good at teaching, but others build better houses, others make better clothes, others make better food, so of course I should think that I'm worthless. Actually, no. Sure, I can only teach, but that is good enough, right? And that gives me value. Well, not in modernity, because if I can't do it all, what I can do is worthless. And the second thing is how shameful needing others is, right? If you're a worthy person, you don't need anybody else. These two logics are, I don't know, hidden, see, in all our relationships, to the point that we in general feel unworthy of love, right? First of all, human beings in themselves are not good enough, right? I mean, dependent people, interdependent people that need to be responsible and that need to be with others to know who they are and to survive. It's very shameful. And being mortal and finite and not being able to do everything. Oh my God, how dare we lift our heads up high and think that we're worth anything? And it's not only that humanity isn't worth anything. Maybe we can see some value in humanity, but we are all convinced that we are not valuable. See, that we individually are not good enough, that we are not capable of being loved because we're not worthy of being loved. And that means, and whenever a person feels unworthy of love, they stop being able to love. First of all, because they cannot receive the love. As soon as somebody loves them, they think, oh yeah, this is a lie, cannot be true, right? This doesn't happen. So they cannot receive anything, but they can't give anything either. Because to be able to love the other person, we need to be okay with our own vulnerability, or the other person's vulnerability is going to be an issue, right? That we would hate. We need to be okay with our finitude, because if not, the other person's finitude is just not going to be good enough. We need to be okay with our interdependence, or else the interdependence of the other person is not going to be good enough. And we're going to be convinced that they are not worth loving. So the moment that we start believing these logics, the beauty pageant logic and Batman's logic, we stop being able of loving. And once we are unable to love, we become castrated, right? Our sexuality, which is all about love, becomes impossible. Okay? We can have genitality, but we do not have these meaningful relationships of love with others, because there is no way of loving anyone else. Now, the thing is, this castration complex is going to be different for men and for women. How does it affect each of the sexes is something that we're going to see on our next video. So, well, that's it. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you have any question or any comment, please write it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. And, well, that's it. Thank you for being here. See you in a week. Have a nice day. Lots of blessings for everybody. Bye.